We're going to get started this morning, and we're going to talk about some things that I'm just so passionate about. Many of you watched the Leaders of Destiny video. And in that video, we talked about the North Star. And no matter what you're going through in life, no matter how tough things get, and how rough the storm of sea becomes, you know, if you know what the North Star is, you can always get back on track. And you always can make it back home safe. So you got to know your North Star. And we talked about those 5 points of the star. Number 1, destiny. Destiny asks the question, where am I going? How many of you know if you don't know where you're going, how will you ever end up there? And so destiny paints this picture. And our job as leaders is to paint that picture of where our organization, where our churches, where our businesses are going into the tomorrow. And then the other point we talked about was purpose. Purpose asks the question, why am I here? The 2 greatest days of your life was number 1, when you were born, and number 2, when you discovered why you were born. And then we talked about dreams. Remember that? That dreams ask the question, when? You know, sometimes people think dreams are way out in the future. But the truth of the matter is, I know some people who turned 20 and said, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30, and their dreams didn't come true in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Their dreams came true by the time they were 30 years old. So dream is all about when, setting a target date for when you want to achieve something. And then next is plan. Plan asks the question, okay, you have this destiny, you have these dreams. Now what is the strategic plan? How are you going to get from where you are to where you need to be? Step by step. And we learned that a destiny or a dream without a plan is a fantasy. And unfortunately, the majority of people in the world have dreams, but they never take time to plan their dreams, and therefore they never hit their target. They never achieve their dreams, and they live life in disappointment and frustration. And our job as a coach is to get them to hit the target, to hit the mark. And in order to do that and to do it as fast as possible, every person needs a plan, a strategic plan to lay it out. I heard preachers say for years, desperate times demand desperate actions. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Every time I did something in desperation, I did something really stupid. How about some of you, huh? Desperate times don't demand desperate action. Desperate times mean we got a plan. And then finally we talked about that last little piece of the star, corner of the star, which is coach. You can have a big dream. You can have, you know your destiny, know your purpose. You can have a strategic plan. But you got to have that coach. You got to have that person. And that coach says who? Who do you have in life that's not impressed with you? Who do you have in life that doesn't really believe your bio? Who do you have in your life that'll get in your face and say, hey, you could be more, do more, have more, achieve more? Every person, no matter how high we rise, all of us need a coach, because all of us, no matter where we're at, we think we're doing the best that we can do. But we've all learned that we could all do a little bit better, that we all need that coach, that person inside of us to pull out more that's inside of us than what we even thought was possible. I have 5 coaches, and I'm glad that I have those coaches because they're always challenging me to keep pushing forward. And I'm America's #1 confidence coach. So if I need a coach, we all need a coach. So we're going to look today, as after that video, I quickly shared about the destiny arrow and how all that is important for the planning part, that part that it's so needed, and everybody agrees that it's needed, because almost all of us have been conditioned with the statement, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And I haven't come across a single person that says, I don't agree with that statement. That's a non-truth. So we all know it's true, and we all know it needs to be done. But what I find that blows me away, you'll be surprised. Major corporations, school institutions, churches, you'll be surprised at how few people ever take the time to really plan. And so we're going to talk about that in this time. And basically, what I did was I created the materials. If you noticed in the video, while you're watching the video, the destiny arrow, which we talked about in the video, it's not the same color. I probably recorded that about 2.5 years ago. I've been doing these trainings and been following people, moving people through this system. And it used to be branded in red and black, but now we've created a new brand of doing the greens and the blues. And so you saw in the video the Destiny Arrow, which is part of the whole coaching program. We also have the Leaders of Destiny book, which I know many of you have already read and should have read already. And then also we have the Leaders of Destiny 12-step coaching guide. So all of these are the tools that we'll be using to help leaders get their North Star back. And one of the things that we asked in the book, I think it was on page, yes, it was on page 20, and it's also in your notes here. We're on page 74 in our notebooks. At the top it says the CSP process. In my mind, I took all the 12 steps. There's a 12-step process that you have to walk a leader through, an organization through, over a 6-month period of time. Now, it could take this process without these tools. I want you to understand, this process without these tools could take a leader, an organization, 2 to 3 years to go through this whole thing without tools. But with tools, tools make things happen faster, right? If you have to get a bolt out of your engine and you don't have a ratchet and a socket, I mean, you can get that bolt out. How many believe you can somehow figure out how to get that bolt out? But if you had the ratchet and the socket, you had the tool, how many know that tool will help you get that thing out a whole lot faster than if you had absolutely no tool at all? And so these products are the tools to help leaders shorten the process and shorten the learning curve for themselves to make things happen faster and quicker than what they could all by themselves. And in an age when hyper busyness is king, as coaches, we've got to get results fast. What's that? We've got to get results what? We've got to get results fast, because if we don't get results fast, what's going to happen to us? We get fired. That's right. So what I've learned to do is these are 12 steps, but I put it in I categorize it in 3 steps so you can learn it. It's the CSP process. C stands for clarity, S stands for structure, and P stands for planning. And so what I tell a leader, I said the first part of this is we're going to help you get clear. The second part of this process is we're going to help you structure your organization properly so that it can grow and so your income can increase. The third thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the planning process, and we're going to get all your leaders engaged and involved with that planning process so they feel like they're a part, so that in your organization you get 100% buy-in. And that's how I present it. Now, what I always like to do is get the leader to sit down and to read these 10 questions. And they're really challenging. And let's just look at them real quick. It's from page 20 and 21 in the Leaders of Destiny book, but it's in your notes here. How important is it to you to maximize the rest of the days of your life? Wow. I know we asked that in the Leaders of Destiny video, but you know, when I first heard that question, I couldn't get away from that question, because the older we get, the more we start thinking, hey, I only got so much time. And, you know, the rest of the time I do have, I want to maximize that time that I have here on earth. The second thing, can I clearly explain my purpose? 3, can I articulate exactly what I want to accomplish over the next 10 years of my life? 4, what is the best organizational context for my dream? All right, I got a dream, but what's the best? Not a good, but what's the best structure and context for my dream? 5, what is the single best measurable indicator that I am making progress towards my dreams? That's important. Because you got to have these indicators that say, okay, I'm moving forward. Well, what's the single greatest one that's telling you you are moving forward? Because we were all built for what? Progress. Let's say that word, progress. Remember, Henry Ford put reverse in the Model T, but God didn't design us for reverse. He designed us to go what? Forward. And when we are moving forward, we feel fulfilled. We feel happy. We feel juiced. We feel like we're going somewhere. But if we're not going forward, we feel what? Stuck. Depressed. So we're designed for forward movement, but you got to know what are those indicators that are telling you, okay, yeah, I'm moving forward. Next, if I could accomplish 3 measurable priorities before I die, what would I accomplish? So meaning, as a leader, do you really know the 3 things before you die that you want to accomplish? Important question. How many know if you don't know, you probably, there's a slim chance you'll achieve it? Next one. What problems or needs am I uniquely qualified to solve or meet? I hope you know now, we can't solve all the problems in the world. You know that, right? But there's a unique problem. There's a unique need that I'm here to solve that nobody else can solve. What is that? Do you know what that is? Every highly confident leader must ask themselves that question. Number 8, do I have the right people on my team who can help me reach my dream? Do I have the right people? 10, do I have someone in my life that's not impressed with my current accomplishments or status, which will stretch me towards fulfilling my full potential? Oh, I skipped number 9, didn't I? Well, see, I was just trying to see if you're paying attention. And number nine is, do I have a written, detailed, strategic plan to accomplish my destiny and leave a lasting legacy? Do I have a written? Now here's what I find. 99% of leaders, they've got it in their head. Oh, I got it up here. But remember, the Bible says don't put it in your head. It didn't say anything about heading it. It said ink it. Write the what? Write it down. There's something powerful that happens. I've been doing this and helping people write their destinies, write their purpose, write the problems they're called to solve, write their strategic plans. I have been doing this now for 10 years, and I can't fully explain it, but there's something powerful that happens when you write things down. As a matter of fact, psychologists say that when you write something down, it accelerates that thing coming to pass by 1,000 times. Isn't it interesting that the Word of God told us that before the psychologists told us that? And it's kind of funny when you look at that scripture in Habakkuk. Habakkuk was a prophet. He was a real spiritual guy, wasn't he? And he says, I'm going to go up to the watchtower to pray and to hear and to see what the Lord will say to me. Now, he's like many of us. He's waiting for some great big revelation, that God's going to give him this great big revelation. And you know what? Instead of giving him a big revelation that he saw a frog and the frog swallowed the lake, and inside the lake was a boat, and inside of the boat was some gold inside of the boat. It's supposed to be funny. He didn't see some big revelation, some new revelation. When he went up to hear from God, you know what God did? God came back with a totally pragmatic thing. He said, Habakkuk, won't you just write the vision down? You're waiting for some big phenomena to happen. And what you need to do is do something practical. Write the vision down. Why? So that people can see it, it can connect your team. That's powerful. Most people who are around a leader, if there's no plan, if there's no strategy, most of the people around are going, I don't know what to do next. Because we don't know where the leader's going. Well, I told them 15 times. Why didn't anybody do anything around here? How many times do I got to say it? Yeah, but did you write it? No. So the Bible says write it so that the team can what? See it, read it, and then what? Acceleration. You see what happens? As soon as clarity comes to the leader, clarity then comes to the team, and clarity is what? Power. And all of a sudden, everybody starts seeing clearly, everybody starts moving towards the same direction, and whoo, all of a sudden productivity increases, morale increases, happiness increases, and growth is the natural byproduct, both numerically, spiritually, and financially. Isn't that powerful? So, in order to do that, what we have, because the reason why we don't do it is because we don't have tools. Number one. Number two, we don't have the training. We've never been trained, especially Christian leaders. I mean, Bible colleges doesn't train you to do strategic planning and to know how to do it. So the destiny arrow, really, it's destiny arrow to the rescue. We have the tool, a very detailed tool, on a strategic step-by-step plan to help people. and take them through the leadership process. Now, the really neat thing is, as a coach, just so you know, once a leader says, which is, it's pretty obvious once they read the book, they listen to the DVD, they talk to you for a little bit, it's pretty obvious, okay, I see what I'm missing. I'm in the fog. I'm not clear where I'm going. I don't have a detailed written strategic plan that I can see, number one, and my team can see. I don't have that. Okay. And I know I need a better structure. I know obviously my structure's messed up. And they say, okay, I know I need this. Okay? Now here you are as a coach. Oh, wow. Now you got a big job to do, don't you? And the neat thing about this guide is this guide, if you'll just follow the guide. What I do when the client hires me, I stick with the guide. Even myself, when I find myself gearing off the guide, that's when I mess up. That's when things become difficult. So this guide has been thought through over the last 10 years. The questions have been very strategic. And for you, it makes it so much easier for you because all you got to do is sit down there and say, okay, this is session number 1. And the first step of the CSP process is clarity. We're going to get clear. Mr. Pastor, I want you to turn to, or Mr. Businessman, I want you to turn to page 5 in the coaching manual. Right? And you open up the book for him and says, wow, isn't this a powerful quote? Look at this. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Wow, I love that. Don't you? That's a powerful quote. And so, and then I start explaining to the leader the details of the destiny arrow. Now, all of you should have a smaller copy, an 8.5 by 11 copy of the destiny arrow. So if you can't see it from where you're at, you can definitely maybe put on your glasses and try to see it from back there. But the first thing I point out is on the very top. This is a powerful scripture. If it's a secular place, it's an ancient proverb. All right, you got that? So the whole arrow's designed, you could use it in ministry, you could use it in the marketplace. I say, a successful enterprise. Pastor, business leader, do you want to be successful? Yes. A successful enterprise is built by what? Wise planning. Becomes strong by what? Common sense. And profits wonderfully. Why is a business in business? At the bottom line, to make a profit. And profits wonderfully by keeping abreast to the facts. Now, the destiny arrow, see, what this does when you have a tool that puts everything on one page, it fulfills every point of the Scripture. Because think about this. If you have everything laid out strategically, step by step, does that make common sense to you? Yeah, the destiny arrow and strategic planning is just common sense. Number two, what helps this destiny arrow helps people. Number two, this destiny arrow helps people make wise decisions. You see, when you have your whole next 10 years, next 5 years, next year, when you have everything planned out, it's easy to make decisions. When you don't have a plan, it's hard to make decisions. That's the biggest thing I discovered. When I went through this whole process myself and filled all this out myself, opportunities came my way. Because opportunities from now to the next 10 years, they're going to continue to come your way. But that does not mean every opportunity is from God. But when opportunities come, when you have a strategic plan, you see the opportunity, and then you come over here to the strategic plan of what you have planned out, because remember, destiny is the target. Destiny is the bullseye. We're beginning with the end in mind. We know where we want to go already, and we have an opportunity, and we say, well, how does that fit with my plans? And I'm going to tell you, it's amazing. When the opportunity is not of God, you'll go, that's a no-brainer. Made a decision. See, if you didn't have the plan, you would say, well, I need to pray for that for about 2 weeks. And then it'd be rolling around in your head. Sometimes opportunity comes, you say, man, that's right. Oh, wow, this is really cool. I'm planning on establishing, that's my destiny. I'm going to establish a ministry in Asia, and Indonesia wants me to come, and they want to help me set up an office in Indonesia, and they're going to provide this, they're going to provide that. Do I need to pray about that? No, it's a no-brainer, right? Now, if I get a call from Alaska, oh, we want you to come to Alaska and spend 6 months in Alaska. I'll look at my chart and I say, I do not see Alaska on my chart, right? And I'll crinkle it up and I'll say no and throw it away. And I don't have to set over, well, God, is this you? I don't know if this is you. And waste 2 weeks of my brain time. I can use my brain to create instead of using my brain to go back and forth over decisions. So that's a powerful thing. This will also help you pay attention to the details. It says any enterprise is built by wisdom, becomes strong through common sense, and profits by keeping abreast of the facts of the details. And remember, to have a ministry, a business of excellence, it's all about the details. It's all keeping an eye on the small things. And when you become a business of excellence, a ministry of excellence, because you keep track of the small things, excellence will cause people to come to you like a magnet. So that's very important. Next, this helps you measure performance, risk, priorities, goals, successes, roadblocks, and failures. Whatever is not measured stagnates in time. So this chart is going to help you for every department measure the progress of every leader in your organization, not only your Tier 1 leaders, your Tier 2 leaders, and Tier 3 leaders. Every single department is going to have strategic goals, strategic plans, action steps. Every area is going to have, okay, where is the youth group going? Where's the children's church going? Where's the youth group? Where's the worship going? Okay, if it's sales, where's the sales department going? Where is our marketing department going? Every area, your 8 key areas for growth, whether it's a church or a business, each one of them will have their own set of goals, plans, strategic action points, executions, and what they're going to be doing. And it all goes on the chart. And guess what? The people in charge of those departments, they participate in the planning process. Because think about this. If the praise and worship leader sets a goal, how many know that's his goal? And now he's responsible for his goal. And he's more apt to move towards that to see that it's fulfilled. But if you as a leader, you do the goal setting for them. Hey, I want the praise and worship team to be bop, 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 bop by in the next 5 years. If you tell them, what are they naturally going to do? Now, he may do it just for a paycheck. But is that full buy-in? No. But what if it becomes his own or her own idea? Wow, this is the goal I want to set. You know, I'm in charge of the ushers team. We only have 20 ushers. But by the end of the year, I want to see us quadruple our ushers so we can have a better hospitality and assimilation program. We want to triple them so we can make people feel more welcome when they come. And the usher, the head usher, comes up with that goal. Now, is that buy-in? Yes. Yeah, that's total buy-in. He's going to work as hard as he possibly can over the next 90 days for you to see that he recruits more ushers so that we can improve our excellence of how people feel when they come into the church. So these are important because this becomes a tool of measurement. And the neat thing is, when you put it on something like this, here's what I found when I work with people over the years. Instead of getting mad at the person who holds them accountable for the goal they set, they shift anger from the person to the chart. They get mad at the tool. Isn't that nice? And so the tool becomes a big help because somebody's got to be in charge. We're going to learn a little bit later. It should be the COO, the Chief Operations Officer, is the one that's going to be meeting with all these teams. And that Chief Operating Officer, every time they come in, he's got the chart. And he's going to look on here and says, okay, your 1 year big win right here. Okay, this was your 1 year big win. He says, these are the 3 things you're going to do in the next 90 days. You said you're going to do these 3 things in the next 90 days. It's 60 days. How far along are you coming? Oh, man, I haven't had time to do anything. Okay, well, you made this goal. Now, you got 30 days. Okay, I'm gonna get on it. And you're just inspecting, okay, how good's the progress? Now, usually when you get the right person, what you'll find is once they set a clear goal, they says, okay, I'm going to do these 3 things in the next 90 days. You meet with them in 60 and it's already done. And then they come into you and you say, okay, this is our monthly meeting. It's been 60 days. We're at 60 days. You said you're going to do these 3 things in the next 90 days. And they say, wow, hey, I got good news for you. Hey, I was hoping that in 90 days that we would at least double the amount of ushers. But hey, I've been working really, really, really hard and getting this thing done. You're not going to believe this. I have exceeded that already. I've already hit that target mark. Really? And then you do what? You celebrate. And it becomes a positive meeting. And what you find over and over and over again is if you just use these principles, you'll have many more wins. You'll have many more hitting the mark. When I was a little boy, I loved to go to the fair. Anybody else like to go to the fair? And the number one thing I like going to is the little booth that they'd have set up where you had these guns. And you had all these, like you had a rooster, and you had like a cowboy scene, and a guy with a cowboy hat, and they had these little targets, right? And all the guns, I mean, they took advantage of us. I mean, I don't think any of the guns could shoot straight, right? Remember those? But I love going out there, and I love trying to hit that little target on the guy's hat so his hat would go up in the air. And you know what I loved about it? I loved the little pitter-pat I got in my heart. Remember that? When you hit that target, this little thing goes boop, 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 boop. I was addicted to that little pitter-pat, right? And the truth of the matter is, sin is defined as missing the mark. But we experience fulfillment when we do what? When we hit the mark. What do you think happens in an organization when you structure things like they should be and get things in order? Because remember, God is a God of order. Right? When things are in order, the devil has a hard time because the devil functions in disorder. Right? So God is a God in order. And so when we hit that mark, when we hit that, boop, 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 and then you got your whole team hitting that mark, boop, 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 what kind of momentum do you think you'll have? Where do you think the morale is? Whew. Everybody's excited. Everybody's juiced. And guess what? What happens is that people who come to the church, people come to a church not because they're led by the Holy Spirit. People sometimes come to a business not because they're led by the Holy Spirit. People come to businesses, people come to churches sometimes just to get a feeling. Because they feel something. Why do people go to Starbucks and pay $5 for a cup of coffee you can make for 15 cents? The feeling that they create is what causes them to keep coming back over and over and over again. And so when they come and there's this, we're achieving something and people are, boop, 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 boop. Ooh, we're juiced, we're excited around here. It creates an atmosphere. And all of a sudden people say, wow, something's going on here. And then you get momentum. You get the big mo working for your life. And I don't know, I found out this about my life. When I have momentum, I look a lot better than what I really am. But when I don't have momentum, man, have you been in a season where you had no momentum at all? It's like you had this huge boulder of a rock and it wasn't moving anywhere, no matter how much you pushed it. Have you had those seasons? And how do you know if this in those seasons you look worse than what you really are? And so this is why this process is really, really, really important. And the final thing that Destinero does, it helps you operate with excellence. You know, it helps you pay attention and keep your eye all the time on all the details of your organization. I like what Josh Beeling said. He says, common sense is the knack of seeing things as they are and doing things as they ought to be done. Yeah, that's about as common sense as you can get, isn't it? Let's go to the next page here. Now, I told you about the top, which is the quote. Now, just under the proverb, you'll find all of these steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right? Step number 1 is the target. Right? And that's what we want to hit. That's the picture of what we see in the future. All right? Number 2, that's the problems. What problems, what needs are you uniquely qualified to solve? Number 3 is purpose. Why do we exist here? Number 4 is departments. Number 5 is the successes of the past. Number 6, resources. What resources is in your hand right now to help you move forward? Number 7, what ideas do you have? Number 8, what's the big win for the year? The 1-year big win. Man, if we do this, we win big time. And everybody wants to what? Everybody wants to win. And then the task, okay? Now we got the big win for the year. Now what are the 3 things that we're going to start acting on immediately in the next 90 days to start moving this thing forward? And then next is the roadblocks. What kind of roadblocks are we facing? Next is the goals. Goals are more longer set. They're like 2 to 5 years. And then finally the dream. Dreams are maybe somewhere between 5 to 20 years, depending on, you say, why do you stretch it out? It depends on the person you're working with. There's some people that can dream outside 20 years. There's some people who can dream 10 years from now. And it all depends on the person you're working with. And as a coach, you've got to kind of discern, okay, can this person handle it? The majority of the people you're working with can only handle about 5 years. Okay? About 5 years. 5 years is a more safer dynamic to work with. So as you see, that's just kind of an overview of the destiny arrow. And one of the things that we want to look at in our notes down on the bottom of 74, the first step in the CSP process is what? Clarity. Okay? So, the first 3 steps in working the destiny arrow has to deal with the first 3 things. Helping a leader get clear on their destiny, helping a leader get clear on what problems and needs are they uniquely qualified to solve, and then number 3, helping the leader identify their purpose. Those are 3 things. Okay? That deals with clarity. Those 3 steps are all about getting the leader clear. Right? So that's all right here. 1, 2, 3. Right? Now, the senior leader, everything starts here with the first 3 steps. And then once we get clear of where we're going, then the leader needs to decide, okay, here's where we're going. Now, what is the team or the departments that I need to make that destiny come to pass? These steps all come from the leader. The organization is waiting for the leader to make a decision on these 4 steps. Once the leader achieves these 4 steps, all the rest, that's the responsibility of the team. So the first thing we got to do is get that leader to get clear. Clear about his destiny, clear about purpose, clear about the problems and needs, and clear about who is the team that we're going to take with us. Who are the key people we're going to use? There has to be a sense of clarity. And it's kind of funny because sometimes leaders don't want to be clear who's in charge. Why? Because as soon as you establish somebody in charge, there's somebody else that thought they should have been in charge. How many know change creates crisis? And most people don't ever want to actually identify who's in charge because they know that it's going to create a what? A crisis. And so we try to avoid as a leader any crisis possible, and then our organization never moves forward because we don't want to deal with crisis. But the truth of the matter is, you can't have growth without crisis. Because you can't have growth without change. And leaders bring change. Leaders are change agents. That's what we're there for. If things aren't changing, you're not a leader, you're a manager. You're managing the status quo, and that's why nothing's moving. Leaders get things moving. So leaders have to make the tough decisions. Here's where we're going. This is what we're going to do. I have picked my dream team. This is who they are. And there's clarity. Okay? So important. And that's what we got to help them do. We've got to help them make the tough decisions that they've been avoiding for a long time. But let me tell you, when they make the tough decisions, and I'm going to teach you how to handle it right, so there can be as few casualties as possible. The success of my coaching over the years is because when we take a church or an organization through this process, we have few casualties. We got to bring change, but we don't want half the church to leave during the process. Right? Because half the church leaving means half the money leaves. So we want to keep the people inside, but we also realize that change will cause some people to leave, but we want to reduce that. And I would say over the years, people people that I walk this system with, the worst that I've seen usually is about 2%. 2 to maybe maximum of 8 to 10% of once the church moved into change that they lost that amount. So if we do it smart, everybody say do it smart. If we do it smart, it works real easy and you don't lose very many people. All right? So, let's look at page 1. The first step is destiny. So the first thing I do is, okay, Pastor, we're going to spend a whole day together. And I said, that's the chart. So we're going to start off with, let's identify the target. Henry Ford said the whole secret of success in life is to find out what is one's destiny to do and what? Do it. Take massive action and go for it. All right? Your destiny is a preview of your future what? Potential. Destiny begins as photographs within our hearts and our minds of things we want to accomplish, things we want to do, things we want to become in the future. Now get this. Destiny is planted in our hearts as invisible seeds. They're already inside of you. They're already inside of your client. And we can't allow anybody to tell us or them that a person doesn't have a destiny. Every person here has a destiny. Nobody's born by accident. Do you believe that? I believe that with all my heart. So our job, it's already in there. Where is it at? The seeds are already in there. Our job in this session is to what? Is to pull it out. Now, as I already told you, how does a smart man pull out the deep things of a man? What? Ask them questions. Just touch your mind. Come on, coaches. I'm so proud of you. Say, I'm a genius. Say, I'm a fast learner. Oh, yeah, because I have the mind of God, right? Oh, yes. So I want to pull it out of them. Now, when I sat down with them, I always go over these 3 things. I said, now the first thing is we're going to forget our circumstances. Because we can't dream if you keep thinking about your checkbook. Sir, we're going to have to dream. Your destiny is bigger than your current finances. And you can't limit your imagination to dream and to imagine just because you don't have money in the bank or you don't have the resources. And I always say, remember, before we get started, it's not a matter of resources, it's a matter of being resourceful. It's a matter of having a state of mind that says, yes, we can. And if the mind believes that we can do it, the mind is designed by God. It's awesome to figure out how to make this dream a reality. So I say, now the first thing we got to do, forget your current circumstances. Forget, that you don't have the resources. Let's get that out of our minds and let's forget about all that. Then number 2, I said, let's realize our full potential. Okay? And I says, now listen. Can we agree that your full potential's not been manifest yet? Oh yeah. Can we really agree that really where you're at now, you could go 10 times, 100 times further than where you are right now? Oh yeah. Can we both agree that your potential is unlimited? Yeah. So let's get that clear in our minds. I have unlimited potential. Let's say that together. Come on, me and you. Yeah, we have unlimited potential because we have God on our side. Yeah, let's do that. So what am I doing? I'm getting the mind massaged. Yeah, I'm getting the mind in the right state where they need to be. So what? It can engage. I want to engage the imagination. The imagination is the image maker. Image maker. I need the person to start letting that factory that's already in you produce the images. Because everything created started with a what? An image, a picture. And I'm trying to get them to see the target. I'm trying to get them to imagine beyond their current circumstances to the divine possibilities of what could be. And God gave us an imagination to be able to do that. That is really awesome. Because you can't create without an imagination. And so then I say, okay, we got to see that we got way more potential. Then I say, okay, now it's time to engage that imagination. Right? And I say, the first thing I say, look at this first thing right out of the bat. It's time to ignite destiny by you thinking the unthinkable. It's time to start thinking the unthinkable. It's time to get that mind to exceedingly abundantly above and beyond all that you can what? Ask or think. I need you to think the unthinkable. If we're going to come to our organization with a dream, we might as well make it super, super big. Because if it's not big, it's not, first of all, going to move you. And if the dream doesn't move you, guess what? It's not going to move anybody else. And what does a leader do? A leader gets things moving. Because what you have now is stuck. So that's what I do. I sit down there. And then I read this thing from Walt Disney. The future is not a result of choices among alternative paths offered in the present. It is a place that is created where? Wow. The future is created first where? Powerful. And the will created next by hoping it will come to pass. Created next by taking what? What kind of action? Massive action. Yeah, massive action. So, Destiny asks the question, what does the future look like? And then I take them right over to the first question, right over here. I say, okay, flip your page over. And I said, right here, this is the most powerful question I could ever ask you. I just want you to think. I'll say, sir, ma'am, if you could do anything you want. You ready to go? You ready to go? I said, you ready to go? Yeah. So now let me ask you this question. If you could do anything you wanted, if God told you, you could be free to choose. You had all the time, the money, the staff, the education. You knew for certain that there's no way you could fail. Who would you become? What would you actually do? What would you have? Who would you help? I want you to think right now about that. I want you to picture that. God said you could do anything. Now, don't look at your paper. I'd say that because they'll look down and I'll say, no, don't look at your paper. Just close your eyes and just talk to me. Talk to me. Tell me what that picture looks like. Just describe it. Come on. You got your imagination going, and your life in the future is 1,000 times bigger than where it is right now, and it's everything you really want it to be. Come on, tell me, explain to me what does your life look like? What are you doing? Explain it. Shit, come on, just talk. And then I shut up, and then they start talking, and then I start writing, because now I'm listening deep. Because what's happening right now? What am I tapping into? I'm tapping into the heart's desires. And really what I'm tapping into when they start talking, I'm tapping into God's desires. The real thing from the heart. Right? Because those destiny seeds are where? And then they just start talking and they let it all out. And then I write. And then after I said, and sometimes I say, can you see a full picture? Is that in full color? Can you see the full picture? Do you see all the colors and all? What color is that car? What you say a church? What's going on in there? Can you take me inside the sanctuary? Can you paint? What's the platform look like? What colors are in there? And I get him to just keep going, and I start getting him to describe things. And I'm writing it down. Oh, it's got a children's. Oh, you see a cutting edge. Yeah, children's really on my heart. Yeah, I see having a church that the building for children's bigger than the building for the adults. I said, whoa, really? Wow. And yeah, what does that building look like? And I write it all down. What am I doing? I'm gathering all their thoughts, what they're saying, and letting them just let it come out like a river out of their heart. Because ultimately, then, once we get it all written down, I said, okay, now, you got that in your mind? Once it's a full color picture, they'll always remember it. It'll be locked there. Now, do you see it? Lock into that. Lock into that. Okay, you got it? Now I want you to come back, and I want you to write out. Let's write out. I wrote some notes on there. I want you to write out, in these next few pages, I want you to write out what you saw. And I wait and let them do that. Right? Now, from these 2 pages, and it just goes on. And what it is, it's the next 2 pages are basically little additional questions that are probing questions that help you if they get stuck. Okay? But you don't want them looking at it right yet. You want them to just let the river flow, and then these other questions are more for you to fill in the blank. And then when they're done, you want them to come back because there's something powerful about them getting it out of their mind and putting it on paper themselves. Right? And then you got the first step done right away. I mean, you've got this done before noon. And then your job as a coach then is to say, okay, now we got a lot of these concepts. Now how can we take everything that you've said, and how can we create what's called a destiny statement? Something that we can read, something that we could look to in about 3 paragraphs that in words can describe to your team where you're going. We don't want to write a book. I mean, everything you told me is almost a book, but how can we consolidate that? And that's kind of your work with them, to kind of help them consolidate that and massage that into some things. Okay? So that's step number 1, helping them discover destiny. Right? Let me just check my time for this first session. Okay, good. We're in good shape. Then once you do that, so this is all helping them get clear. We say, all right, good job. Then you take a break. Let's take a break. Let's go get a Starbucks. Come on, let's get out of here. Let's go grab us a Starbucks coffee together, and then go sit at the pub somewhere. A lot of times, sometimes it helps as a coach to break the atmosphere. To get out of where you are. Okay, good job, good job. All right, let's get out of here and let's go to Starbucks. Let's go down and sit at Starbucks. Right? And take your book with you. And we take the book, and then we go over to step number 2. So we got them to outline destiny, what the picture looks like. Now step 2, okay, now Mr. Leader, we're going to look at the problems and needs side. And then I like what Aristotle said. He says, where talents and the needs of the world cross, therein lies your vocation. Or you could say, therein lies your destiny. Well, get this. Where the problems and the needs of the world are, right? And where your competence is, your skill sets, your abilities, your strengths. Problems of the world, your strengths. Where they cross, right there is destiny. Right there is your assignment. So think about this. Problems of the world, God created everything He created to solve some sort of what? Problem. Remember in the video I said even a cockroach solves a problem, right? He gives the Orkin man a job. And if God created a cockroach to solve a problem, surely He created you, He placed you in this earth to solve a problem and to meet some sort of need in life. So, that's what we need to do. We need to really help them to see, what problems am I called to solve? Now, how do we do that? Well, one of the things we want to do that helped me is I created what's called on page 13, I created what's called the uniqueness triangle on page 13, if you look at it up there. And like I said earlier, everybody's not called to solve every problem. There's a unique problem. And God created us all unique and different. Right? But in order to discover that uniqueness, I call it our God plus factor. Right? We got to look at three things. I just call it the 3 P's. Problems, passions, and power. When Bob Bill was working with me, he asked me a question that was like, it was 3-layered. Okay? And it's in your notes right here. He said, Keith, when I was struggling trying to find my way, he said, Keith, what problems and needs do you feel deeply burdened by, passionate about, and uniquely qualified to solve and meet? That was the question he asked me. So get this. Remember, I'm in the fog. I told you. I already achieved some of my lifetime dreams, and now I didn't realize it, but I'm in this fog moment. And then Bob says, well, let's get you clear. Let's take a year to get you clear. And he asked me this. He says, well, what problems and needs do you feel deeply burdened by? He said, Keith, what makes you pound the table? Keith, what makes you cry? Keith, what problems in the world do you look at? Do you weep? Do you get just ticked off? And man, I start saying, why are you asking me those questions? He says, because I'm tapping into, number one, the problems that frustrate you, that anger you. Because that's a clue to your assignment. That's a clue to the things that God has placed you here to solve. There's some people don't see those problems. They're totally oblivious. But you see them. Why is that? He said, Keith, it could be because that's that seed of destiny that's God placed inside of you, causing you to see it where others don't see it. Isn't that powerful? So by identifying some of those will help you. So I went down through my list and I started writing all the problems I see. I said, insecurity. I see so many people who are insecure. And I start writing. I say, man, I see so many people who don't know how to lead. They don't know how to plan. They don't have a strategic plan. They're foggy. I start writing all this stuff. They don't know how to have a team. And I start writing this stuff, and man, I hate poverty, man. Ooh, I hate poverty. I hate failure. I just when I see somebody who's in poverty, I just get so mad. I just get so angry. I just want to help people who are down and out, man. People who life has just kicked them in the teeth and they're down. Man, I just want to be, I just want to be like the coach with Rocky Balboa saying, Rocky! Get up and hit him again! I start writing all this stuff out, and the list was pretty long, and you'll be amazed. They'll be like, when you start working with the client, there'll be like a theme that they start talking about. Because the first layer, you're just looking at the problems, and you say, okay, what problems or need do you feel deeply burdened by? And they write them out. And then the second one, on the second leg, is passion. And the question's layered. So if you go over, of course, you'll see there's several different kinds of questions on how you can pull the problems out. And it asks it kind of some different ways. Well, what would you give your money to? And who are you trying to serve? And What needs are you currently meeting? And so those are all kind of different questions to kind of give a different angle. And we're trying to pull out what are those problems, okay? And you got different questions as you're listening that they can answer. Then once you ask all those probing questions, you're just going after the problems and needs. Then look at the bottom of page 15. This is brilliant. Once you do that, then the last two things. Okay, now that we talked about all the problems and all the needs that you're deeply passionate about, now watch this question. Pastor Bob, in a single word or sentence, a single word, what problems and needs, tell me right now, that do you really want to solve? Single word. Say it right now. Bam, it's there. Because usually once you answer all these questions, you get this theme that starts flowing out of the person. You say, give me, if you could summarize all these problems in one word, what would it be? My word, my single word was leaders. I'm deeply passionate about empowering leaders for success. My word was leaders. I see the problem. Bam. Choo. Okay, in a single word or sentence, what needs do I want to meet? Lack of education. Education was my second one. Bam, got it. See how I'm starting? I'm starting to form my own and discover my own thing, right? Then I go over to the next page. Leg number 2 is what, everybody? Passion. John Maxwell said, a great leader's courage will fulfill his vision a great leader's courage to fulfill his vision comes from what? Passion, not position. I love that. So that second layer that Bob said to me, he says, well, what are you deeply burdened by, but what are you passionate about? What moves you? And then he started kind of tapping into, Keith, what do you love? Because what you love is a clue to your assignment, right? Keith, what makes you cry? Keith, what makes you angry? All these feelings are really, they're little signals telling you, wow, that's my assignment. What really makes you mad? That's big. Well, man, when I see homeless people laying on the streets, that just makes me mad that nobody will help them. Well, maybe that's your assignment. Well, when a single woman gets abused by her husband and she has no place to go and she has to stay in that relationship because she feels pressured that she has to, that makes me so mad. That's a clue. When I see churches that don't have anything for kids, and they treat the kids like second-class citizens, and they don't have anything cutting edge and modern, and I see all the young kids going to hell and getting into stuff that they shouldn't get into, that makes me really mad. What is that a clue? Possibly a call to kids, your assignments to kids. You see? It makes me mad that people are broke and they're in debt. It makes me mad what debt has done to people. I hate it. It's a clue. Maybe you're the next Dave Ramsey. Got it? You start looking at your anger. You start looking at, well, what do you love? Man, those things are coming from where? It's coming from passion. What problems really burden you, and what are you passionate about? Those two things are starting to form your uniqueness, the uniqueness dynamic about you. And you just sit there and you just ask all these questions and listen. Then you go on. Leg number 3 is power. Everybody say power. What's power? Power is your strength. You get power from your strength, not your weakness. Okay? So, here's what I want you to think about. You and even your client may feel burdened about a lot of things. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you have the strength to meet that need. That doesn't mean you have the skill set. And so sometimes you have to say, okay, let's really tap into your greatest strength. What are your strengths? Because we want to build on your strength. So what your strength gives you horsepower to achieve great things. All right? So then you look at the last part of that sentence, and it says what? What are you passionate about? And what are you uniquely qualified by God to solve? So then you start looking at your strengths. And you start asking yourself some of these other questions. What do I do that seems easy, but it's hard for everybody else? Okay? What do I do that's very easy for me, but hard for everybody else? Listen, it's easy for me to communicate. That's my strength. But it's hard for me to balance budgets and to do a checkbook. My wife, there's a couple times I went in the office and I just had to do a couple things because my wife, she's incredible with numbers. She remembers. I just can't figure it out. She can remember phone numbers. She can remember the numbers on our credit cards and just bam, bam, bam. She's amazing, And a couple times here, last couple months, I had to go in and because she was feeling a little under the weather, and I had to go get a couple things for her and do a couple little things for her, and I touched just a couple little things trying to help. And I made the whole thing a mess. Are you with me? Because I'm deeply burdened by people not having money and me not having money. Lack of money angers me, right? But guess what? I can be burdened by it. I can be frustrated about it. But one thing about it, I am not called to help people balance their budget. Amen. That is not my assignment. Now, stir you up to dream, give you the strategic processes and the right thought processes of how to think super abundantly and to get you into that kind of entrepreneurial thinking and believe in big, man, that's my anointing. But forget about the numbers. That's not me. Now, I can look at a spreadsheet. I know how to do that. But I can't touch it. Trust me, I get the dates wrong. I add and subtract wrong. And it's crazy. Do you see what I'm saying? So you got to look at, because now you're starting to narrow things down. I might be burdened by a lot of things. I might be passionate about a lot of things. But is that fit in my strength zone? Is that where I'm strong? And you narrow some of the things down. You say, well, this, I'm not strong in that. Let my wife do that. Let my team do that. But right here, baby, this is where can't touch this. Touch your neighbor and say, can't touch this. That's that's where you want to get to, all right? So, and then as you go through there, you'll find there's different questions, okay, that you can ask yourself to identify your strengths. And then on the very bottom of page 21, here we go, okay? Review the first two legs of your uniqueness triangle and start eliminating those problems and needs that you are not qualified and gifted to solve or meet, and list those things below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you help the leader. What do we do first? What's the picture look like? Okay? Then over here, we narrow down, you know what? Every church isn't called to solve every need in a city. Is that okay? You don't have to solve every need. Do the ones that you're passionate about. Every church will can have its own flavor, have its own uniqueness, have its own divine assignment. It's okay. What's not okay if you don't know what assignment, what problem God has assigned you to fix in that city? Because you're going to be responsible to God for what God has assigned you to do. Right? He gave when He distributed talents, it was different talents, right? You're responsible for the talents God gave you. And when you show up, He'll say, hey, you got one, well done. Okay, praise God, I did it. Hey, I gave you 5. Did you use what I gave you? Yes. You called me to solve these problems. We went after it with everything we had, gave it the best we had. Here's our problems. Now what are we going to? Once we get destiny, we identify the problems. Let me tell you, purpose is going to be really easy. Let's flip on over. Let's look at that in our last 15 minutes. Rick Warren at the top of your page said something really powerful. Before you go there, many times people think that purpose is your decision. Remember when you're a little kid? They come to you and say, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a fireman? You want to be a nurse? You want to be a doctor? You want to be a president? Remember? They came to you and asked you that as if it was your decision. Your purpose isn't your decision. Your purpose is your discovery. Even Jesus opened up the book and discovered Himself inside the pages. And that's what I found. That as we go through this journey, it's like, it's not your decision. It unveils to you. You say, wow, okay, that's my purpose. And we're going to learn a little bit later, some men don't even discover their purpose in life until they're 50 years old. Is it possible that you're not even tapped into your purpose yet? Whew. Wow. We're going to learn a little bit about that. But Rick Warren said it like this. He said, the search for purpose of life has puzzled people for thousands of years. That's because we typically begin at the wrong point. Ourselves. We ask self-centered questions like, what do I want to be? What should I do with my life? What are my goals, my ambitions, my dreams for the future? But focusing on ourselves will never reveal our life's purpose. Why? Because we're not here for us. We're here to solve somebody else's problem and to meet somebody else's need. Isn't that a cool thought? And when we get our mind there, we start really, that purpose starts unfolding. Okay? And I put down here, I think I said before, there are really 2 awesome moments in everyone's life. The first one is when you're born, and the second one is when you realize why I was born. Purpose asks the question simply, why am I here? John Maxwell said it good, I thought. He said, success is knowing my purpose in life, growing to your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit other people. Others. Everybody say that word, others. So what's he saying? The focus is on others. Success is others. When you get your mind on others, you start what? Knowing your own purpose in life. And then when you know your own purpose, then you start saying, wow, I'm going to grow to my maximum potential so that I can help more people. So that my whole life is always sowing seeds that benefits other people's lives. I really like that. What is purpose? Purpose is the original intent or creation for a thing. The original reason for existing of a thing. The reason why something exists. Purpose is desired results that initiates production. Purpose is a need that makes the manufacturer produce a specific product. It's a problem that makes the manufacturer, service company, produce a product or a service. Purpose. People have dirty hair. So the manufacturer creates what? Purpose. Your breath stinks. So guess what? The manufacturer makes what? Breath mints. Hey, your underarms stink. So put on some. So the manufacturer predetermines what it's going to create and the problem it's going to solve before he releases it. Wow. So God is the ultimate manufacturer. And He predetermined before He made you. Put you here at such a time as this. Isn't that powerful? To solve a certain problem. And to meet a certain need. Gosh, that just makes me want to run around the building. I don't know about you, huh? Like I just want to go like Superman right on out of here. That's powerful to think about it. And so exciting. So now when we're helping people discover their purpose, let's go down on the bottom of page 23. You can read some of this other stuff that I'm skipping over, okay? But step number 1, ask the question, what single solitary word is the focus of your life or your organization? Powerful. Now, because, and maybe you'll have to understand a little bit, now that you've walked this person through step 1, getting clear, and you walk this person through what problems burden you, what is your assignment, what problem, you'll have this theme. So the moment you go in this one question, say, okay, now, of everything we talked about, nail it with one word. It'll just come right, it'll be so obvious. And now that we got the one word, then you'll turn over the next page and you ask the second question. Now that you gave me one word, now what I want you to do is give me a few additional words that describe. If you could use a few different, give me some more. And they'll give you a few more. Now the words I gave, I'll just give them to you. The words I gave. When I looked at the whole big scheme of things for myself, I put empowerment. I put success. I put leaders. I put confidence. And so I had these key words that I put together, and then the next step, okay, you get these different words, and then the final thing, you look at these words, and they'll be all scrambled. Then you say, now, if all of these words are what's in my guts, how do I take those words and create a sentence out of them? So when I took all those words and created a sentence out of them, my sentence was, I empower leaders with the confidence they need to succeed. Is that what I do? That's my purpose. God put me here to empower leaders with the confidence they need to experience success in life. I've known that now since I was 40 years old. And here's what amazing thing is. When clarity comes, I'm telling you, when clarity comes, here's the cool thing. The universe. Oh, no. I was going to say, the universe starts moving. No. I was messing with you. But seriously, when clarity comes, all of a sudden, right people start coming into your life that you needed. Right opportunities. Right doors. And all the things that you need. As soon as a man gets clear, the money comes, the resources come, the buildings come. All of it just starts showing up. Before I was 40, I didn't have the key relationships that I have now, the high-level leadership relationships that I have now. But when I got clear, man, all of those amazing, world-class leadership thinkers are now my buddies. They're my friends. I can call them up on the phone. At 40, I didn't know anyone. Didn't know any of them. Didn't have that relationship. But once I did, bam, things started happening.